What gives you such conviction that Trump will focus on AI out of the gate?
I think that's going to be a huge focus within the government. Government's been way behind when it comes to AI. That's going to be huge initiatives, I think, through DoD, through the agencies. That's going to be bullish for Microsoft, bullish for Amazon, bullish for Google, names like Palantir. I think that's other names that are going to benefit here in what is a golden age for AI.
And Palantir, there's the link with government. I want to ask you about Elon Musk. And if you'll allow me, let me just put it this way, because the market tried to make sense of the Tesla move. It's believed that Trump will repeal some or all of what's legislated for on the EV consumer incentive side, manufacturing support for the companies themselves. There's the association tailwind between Musk and Trump. Why is it that Tesla survives and stands out to your mind, but GM, Ford, Rivian, names like that won't do as well?
Sure. I think it's a great point. Let's go two parts. One, by removing the credits, the 7,500, that's going to give a much more even playing field. Tesla has a scale and scope. They're going to be hugely advantaged there versus the Detroit stalwarts. So that's bullish there in terms of giving them that availability and I think option, to ultimately they could still cut prices more. But the big thing, the reason that this stock, I believe it's $1 trillion of value unlocked when it comes to the AI piece, because when you look at Trump now, this is going to give the highway, the Autobahn, for autonomous. I think he is going to fast track autonomous FSD. That is very bullish for Tesla. And it comes down to, for Musk, one of the best strategic bets he ever made was ultimately this bet on Trump.
Is the technology ready?
I think the technology is not necessarily ready today in its current form, but it's going to a point that this is ultimately going to be, when I look at autonomous and FSD, it's $1 trillion incremental valuation. You look at cyber cabs, you could ultimately see 2026, 2027 initiatives get fast tracked. Tesla, Musk, is the big winner in this, call it Trump sweepstakes, along with big tech. Because the other view is that Khan is likely going to be out at the FTC, and that's bullish for deal making across big tech.
Okay, there's a lot to be bullish about, but one area of concern has been, well, yes, AI will be fueled, but what about the infrastructure for AI? A lot of that comes with growing chip sector here in the United States, and that's dependent on, well, in many ways, the CHIPS Act. Maybe that gets blown out the water. Yeah,
so I think when it comes to CHIPS Act or Inflation Reduction Act, clearly there's going to be a lot of revisions there. I think probably the biggest loser and negative would be names like Intel, just adding to that pain. But from a chip perspective...
You think Intel will be a loser there?
Well, first, I think Intel's been a loser. This is just adding gasoline to the fire in terms of IRA was really going to be a huge opportunity for Intel. I think Intel now is on the wrong side of that trend. I think what you're going to see with IRA and Inflation Reduction Act, much more focus on chips in the U.S., but really much more focus on the AI build-out. And I think when it comes to some of the tariffs that we talk about with China, I think there will be carve-outs. That's why I don't think that NVIDIA is going to be so negatively impacted. I don't think a lot of these other names in terms of the tariffs, I think Tesla, Apple, that's also why it's so important that Musk is going to be a whisper in the White House.
I'm just going to let you put your IFB back on because I know Ed wants to jump in here. But I'm interested in, basically you think Trump isn't going to live up to a lot of the things he promised on the campaign? I
think bark's going to be a lot worse than the bite when it comes to some of the tariffs. You'll have some that will be much more nastier. But when it comes to some of the exports that we see, I think you're going to see carve-outs here. I don't think it's going to be as negative for tech and supply chain. That's why right now this is a Goldilocks scenario for tech, but it's a champagne moment for Tesla investors.
Dan, you can hear me well?
Can you hear him?
I'll give you a second. All good. All right, here's the question. Be honest with me. Can Elon Musk have an informal or formal role in the administration and be the CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, associated with Neuralink, Boring Company, etc.?
Yes. I think he won't clearly have a formal role from a cabinet perspective.
Why not clearly?
Because then it complicates in terms of his ownership and I think some of the structure in terms of what we see with Tesla, with SpaceX. But I believe he'll be an unofficial whisperer. I think he'll have a significant influence within the White House. And that's why this is going to be known as probably the best strategic bet that Musk ever made in terms of betting on Trump. And I think, this is something that is just starting to play out in terms of this Trump-Musk sort of alliance.